If you've been searching for hope and asking the question of whether hope is possible after your loss, on this episode you're going to hear from a very special friend after the loss of her mum and the keys that she has discovered to finding hope in the pain. So stick around and enjoy the episode. Welcome back to the Good Grief Couch. My name is Ryan and my wife is Kaylee, and together we're on a mission to help 1 million women find meaning and hope again after loss. We've just come off the back of a huge Easter weekend and Resurrection Sunday just yesterday, and it was a massive weekend. I'm not sure how it was for you, emotionally, spiritually. Maybe you were missing your loved ones. We were definitely talking about my dad and Kaylee's mum around the lunch table on Sunday after church and reflecting on many of the things that they loved during this season. And we're 13 years into our grief. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. It's an honor to have you with us. And if you're coming back a second or 30th time, you know how much we love you and how much is going to be in store for you in this episode. But we were just really reflecting, our pastor Locke preached out of Luke 24, and I was really struck by these two women that go to the grave and find it empty. And as they're leaving, two angels appear, frightening them. And the question that the angels ask these women really struck me, and I've been meditating on it ever since. They ask this question. They say, why are you looking for the living among the dead? Meaning, why are you looking for Jesus among the graveyard? All of these people that have died. And I was really struck by that question for a number of different reasons. And I think there's lots to unpack there, which we're not going to do on this episode. But as these women came to the grave, they didn't come alone. They came together. And there's a power and a unity in joining together through grief and doing the journey with somebody else side by side. And there's an African proverb that we use in Good Grief a lot, and it goes like this. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And that's what these women were doing. They were going to the gravesite together. They weren't isolated. They weren't alone. They were together. They were weeping, they were mourning and grieving together. And there's a real power in that, which you're going to hear shortly on this episode. And I want to introduce you to one of our dear friends, Vanessa, who we have had the pleasure of knowing since July last year. We recently held an in-person Good Grief meetup where we invited Vanessa to come up on stage and share her story with the women that were there with us. It was a rainy, stormy day. It fitted our grief perfectly. And you're going to hear Vanessa's story of her loss and how she's managed to find hope and glimmers of hope, as she puts it, through the pain. And so I'm going to hand it over to my wife, Kaylee, who interviewed Vanessa, and I'll see you on the other side.
This is Vanessa Pardo. She came into our world last year at our first meet and grief down at Palm Beach, and she had joined our community just not long prior. Hey,
I had just found you that day, for that meetup actually. That was the first time I'd come across you guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so Vanessa has lost her mum 2.5 years ago. And Vanessa, would you tell us your mum's name and how you lost her?
Yeah, so my mum's name was Rosa.
It is Rosa?
Is Rosa, yes. And I lost her to a cancer battle. Okay. But our cancer battle was a bit different than normal in the sense that usually when people say cancer, it's like a long journey, whereas her journey was only 7 months from diagnosis to when she passed away. And she also, she kept, not maliciously, but she kept it from us kids, I've got 2 older brothers, of how serious it actually was until closer to the end. So even though it was 7 months, we didn't find out, it was kind of terminal until a couple of months before she actually passed away. So, yeah.
And how does your mum inspire you?
I was thinking about this one, and I think she, within her her passing has kind of taught me a lot. And one of the things that I also take away from my parents is that, you know, don't wait for the right time to do things. And especially when you go through grief and loss, you know, your life can change in an instant. You can be healthy one day and then the next day you can find out that you're dying, you know. And my parents, they didn't wait for retirement to go travelling and, you know, do things.
Amazing.
As soon as, I'm the youngest of three, so as soon as I was an adult and old enough to look after myself, every year they would go on a big trip, and I just think if they waited until retirement, they wouldn't have had it, because my mum passed away at 61, so she wasn't retired yet. So yeah, if they waited, they wouldn't have had the memories and the experiences that they had. So yeah, that's what I've kind of learnt from my parents and my mum.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that. And what was your experience of grief at the time when your mum passed?
Yeah, so when mum passed away, it was 2 days after my 30th birthday, and I think that, you know, being so young, and you would know this too, none of my friends had lost their mum. I didn't know anybody else who had lost their mum, so I just felt, you know, that there was people that didn't know what I was going through. And obviously there's lots of people out there in the world that know what you're going through, but in your own world, I felt very alone and not understood, that, you know, people didn't understand what it felt like losing someone so special in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so fast forward to July 2024 last year, how did you find us?
I actually had a friend tag me on Instagram on your post.
Okay.
She's another Christian lady that she follows you, and yeah, she tagged me in the post because she knows my journey, and yeah, just from that tag, I thought I'm going to go to that, and then I just went. Yeah.
That's amazing. And what made you come to our meet and grief alone?
I guess I was kind of searching for, other people who had been through it. And as well, I was searching for people similar ages, you know, that I could relate to, and kind of, see if I could meet, like you said, grief buddies, or just people that had been through it and understood what I was going through.
So great. And so then I invited you to Nazaree's dedication that day. We just met her and she asked us about church, and I said, hey, you should come to Nazaree's dedication next week. And you came and you brought along Dave, your partner.
Yeah.
And then you came to our home gathering, and now you've been coming to our church for over 6 months now, and now you're here speaking, and you've just kept saying yes, even though I know you've felt the fear and said, this is out of my comfort zone, and you've just done it anyway.
Yeah.
Why is that?
For me, one of the big things is going through grief. You kind of lose yourself in that journey. You're not the same person that you were before, and you kind of have to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And that's a really big thing for me, is trying to re-find myself and push myself out of my comfort zone, and do the big scary things, even though that they're scary. That's kind of a goal of mine, to re-find myself after loss.
You're inspirational.
Thank you.
And so then you've joined our Good Grief Club. What has been the most helpful about becoming part of our community?
One of the biggest things that I love is the community aspect of it. And even though everyone's, around the world, and we don't know each other personally, but you get on the calls that you have and you meet people over Zoom, and just the support from all the other ladies in there, it's like nothing that I've ever experienced before. Right? Everyone's just absolutely amazing. They're so supportive, and that just gives me that little bit of hope that you were talking about. And I love it.
So great. If you could describe the club in one word, or three, how would you describe it? I
would say glimmers of hope.
Beautiful. I love that. Vanessa, we are just so stoked that God led you to us last year and that you've come into our world and stayed. And we're just so proud of you and the steps you've made and feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And we just love having you part of our home group now. So amazing. And I'd just like to let you guys know that, I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, but Vanessa gave her heart to the Lord last week and she's invited Jesus into her life and she wants to get to know him, and we are just so excited for the future for you. Thank you for sharing.
How inspiring and incredible is Vanessa? Honestly, it's been such a joy having her in our world and in our community. And if you'd like to join the same community that Vanessa's a part of, click the link below. Wherever you're listening or watching this episode from, you'll get to meet her and all of the other incredible women all over the world. So no matter where you are in the world, Germany, Asia, US, Canada, New Zealand, wherever you are, there'll be someone not too far away. And just like I mentioned at the start, the women going to the grave to mourn Jesus, they did it together. This journey has so many glimmers of hope when you do it with somebody who's a few steps ahead of you in the journey. So we'd love to invite you in. Click the link below and come and see the power of doing the journey well with others, and we can support you more that way and introduce you to people that are probably close by you in maybe the neighboring suburb or city. So until we see you on another episode or inside of our Good Grief community, big love from Kaylee and myself.